So you want to know what you shouldn't do when you come to Japan. Now, I'm going to go over 9 things that you shouldn't do when you come, and the last one, I almost got arrested. So be sure to stay till the end, because not only will I tell you what you shouldn't do, but I'm also going to tell you a quick story of how I almost got arrested. Now, the first thing you're not going to want to do when you come to Japan is show your tattoos in some places. Now, this can go for massage parlors, restaurants, the gym. Some places actually won't let you in because there's a rule that if you have too many tattoos, or even if you have one tattoo and it's too big, you can't get in. The standard is actually right around here, but some places won't let you in even if you have that. So I tried getting into a gym and they wouldn't let me, so I tried getting into another gym and they wouldn't let me until I got the idea, put on a long sleeve shirt. Now, if you think you're going to go there, show your tattoos, and put on a long sleeve shirt in front of them, you're mistaken, because they won't let you do that. So make sure that you're covered up if you try to go into certain places when you go to Japan. So the second thing that you're going to not want to do when you come to Japan is come with a small budget. Now, Japan can be very expensive, especially if you're going to be in places like Tokyo and Osaka. Now, if you compare them to places like Thailand or Bali or the Philippines, it's not even a question. For example, I ended up getting a short ride, 25 minutes from the airport to my Airbnb. It cost me over $80. In comparison, from Bangkok, Thailand to Pattaya, Thailand, I paid over $40 for a roughly 2-hour ride. Now that's basically 4 times the ride, and it was half the price in Thailand. Now I get it, we're not in Thailand anymore, we're in Japan, but I'm just warning you, it can get very expensive. Even accommodations, I ended up getting a hotel because it looked good, but it was reasonably cheap, and I was like, all right, let's try this. I get there and it was basically a closet. I'll end up putting up a video on the screen a little bit later. The third thing that you're not going to want to do when you go to Japan is walk through people's houses with your shoes on. Now, when you go to Japan, you go to somebody's house, it's customary to take off your shoes because it's part of their culture. In America, some places they have you do that, but most places nobody cares if you walk in with your shoes on. In Japan, some of the places actually have a small room or area in the beginning of the apartment or house where you're meant to take your shoes off and put on slippers, or even just walk through the house in your socks. So be sure to be mindful when you go to somebody else's house to take off your shoes. Now, the fourth thing that you're not going to want to do when you go to Japan is tip. I researched online and I found that you're not supposed to tip when you go to Japan, but I felt weird about not tipping, so I tipped a little bit when I got there, and to my surprise, several people actually refused the tip, almost as if they were insulted. I believe that it's that they feel like they make enough money and it's a pride thing. Although a couple people did accept the tip, there were several that didn't, and I just stopped tipping altogether because in America, they tip us to death. Whether you're getting a coffee or you're getting your food or whatever the case may be, they hand you something they want you to tip. So I was very happy to not tip. Now, the fifth thing that you're not going to want to do when you come to Japan is get a small hotel room. Now, I like to get Airbnbs. Usually I'll get a full apartment, but here I found a really good offer because everything was very expensive, and I was like, you know what, this seems like a good deal, and I ended up getting it. But it was actually not worth the money at all. I would have much rather pay more for an apartment, which I ended up doing. I ended up leaving, and I'll put a video up on the screen of what this closet hotel looked like. It was really unbelievable. I walked in and I said, what did I do? Moving forward, I stopped trying to be cheap and I ended up getting a much nicer accommodation. Now, if I was you, I would make sure that you do your research, check the reviews, and don't get a small unit when you go to Japan. Now, the sixth thing that you're not going to want to do when you're in Japan is talk in public spaces. And by public spaces, I mean trains and buses, places like that. Now, it's a culture of respect, and when I was on the train, it was very quiet. Nobody was on their phone or doing things like they do in America. If you notice in places like New York and even California, people are break dancing and playing loud music and doing all types of stuff on the train. It's not like that in Japan. It's a culture of respect, and you're going to want to make sure that you're not on your phone or talking to people while you're on the train, even if you're with your friend, because it's supposed to be silent. So respect where you're at, respect the culture, and the seventh thing that you're not going to want to do when you're in Japan is only have a credit or debit card. There are a lot of places that still only accept cash. Of course, when you think about Japan, people think of the future. They're into robotics and all this other stuff. But you'd be surprised that a lot of places still only accept cash. and not credit or debit card. So although it is very technically advanced, they have a lot of cool things, robots and self-driving this and self-serving that, I would highly suggest that you still keep cash because there's a lot of places that only accept cash. Now, number 8 is don't forget to try a Japanese toilet. Now, if you ever watch the episode of South Park, they show you the episode with the Japanese toilets. Well, it's true. These things heat your seats. They end up having water splash on your bottom after you go number 2. Some of them play music and all types of stuff. So it depends on the Japanese toilet, but you don't want to go to Japan and not try one, because ever since I saw that episode, I've always wanted to try one. And luckily, while I was in Japan, I did get to try one. Now, the 9th thing that you're not going to want to do when you're in Japan is ride your scooter on the sidewalk. Now, I almost got arrested while I was in Japan. Let me tell you a very quick story. I was riding on the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden, the cops start driving next to me, pointing, and I'm like, me? And they were like, yeah, you. So they pulled me over, and they start talking to me, asking me where I'm from, let me see your passport, what are you doing here, the whole 9 to 5. And let me tell you something. I was like, what did I even do wrong? It turns out that you're not supposed to ride on the sidewalk. I saw other people riding them on the sidewalk, so I thought it wasn't a big deal. Turns out you're not supposed to. Luckily, I didn't get arrested. They didn't even write me a ticket. They gave me my passport and let me on my way, but I would highly suggest that you guys don't ride on the sidewalk if you do rent a scooter while you're out there. Now, I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, liking, and let me know if I missed anything in the comments. You doing all of that definitely helps me out because it helps the algorithm push it out to more people because it shows engagement. So if you want to support me, I would really appreciate if you subscribe, liked, and comment, and be sure to watch the next video.